Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I am your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusty producer, Max Kerman. Max, what's going on?
Well, I just got home from softball, and I had a very embarrassing tumble. But anyway.
Oh, we'll get to that. And also with us is our pop culture aficionado and our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham.
MMVO. Just call me Shane. Yeah. I tried to say MMVA award winning.
Yeah, that's what you were trying to say. I was gonna you have a new title now. Mm-hmm. All right. So like Max said, we just came from softball, and I don't know, Max, you want to set it up?
What do you mean?
Your big tumble.
Yeah.
Oh,
so Max hadn't hit all game because we were like subbing out hitters, and finally at the end of the game, our buddy Jug, who was like, "Oh, Max, go in for me." I was like, "All right, I'm gonna get a big hit." So Max gets a hit. A blazer right to shortstop. So I'm watching the ball, and then I hear everyone on our bench go, "Ooh!" And I look over, and Max is like crumbled on the ground.
So brutal. I think I just tripped over my own feet. I'm usually not that much of a klutz in sports, but it was just very embarrassing. I was just sort of like laying down on the ground. And you know when something happens where like it really kind of hurts, but you don't want to like whimper too much?
Oh, definitely.
You seem like you were whimpering quite a bit, though.
But that was like me trying to really hold it together.
Was that your mic hand, though, that you hurt?
He also plays guitar, Shane.
Oh, that too. You kind of just dance with the guitar on your waist.
That's true too. No, I mostly fell on my side. I'll be fine. It's all good.
Speaking of dancing with guitars, you played the NHL Awards too.
Yeah, okay.
I'm doing the Mike segue now.
Yes. Yeah. So to frame things, this is the Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers episode. We are going to get to him in a bit, but there's a few things that we haven't talked about in a while because for any of our friends or maybe listeners, we say save it for the pod. Yeah. So even though we've been around each other, we haven't really gotten to ask many questions or hear about what's been going on in our lives. And so somewhat recently. Max and the Arkells just played the NHL Awards.
It's been a crazy week. So basically, we've played the MMVAs on Sunday night. Then on Tuesday night, I flew to Vegas because the NHL Awards asked us to perform and kick off the show for their big award show. It was also a big deal because the expansion draft is happening because Vegas is getting a team. So that was happening. So the ratings were supposed to be really good because this is like a new part of the show. And it was very exciting because it came together like a week before. Like this wasn't something that's been in the calendar for a long time. It was like literally a week before. Like, oh, can you do this? So it kind of felt like it was being thrown together like a little bit last minute. But we're like, yeah, we're in. This would be like a really fun, unique experience.
Do you think Three Doors Down backed out?
What's with you in Three Doors Down?
That's a callback to like 2 pods ago.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they couldn't make it. But now the interesting thing that happened. Like on the Friday before, this is actually when we were rehearsing for the MVAs, they asked us, would you also introduce 10 living legends in the middle of your song? And we were like, what? Like Wayne Gretzky is going to be there, Mario Lemieux is going to be there, Brendan Shanahan, and you need to call them on stage because we're doing the 100 greatest players. This is the 100th anniversary of the league. I was like, I'm totally down to give it a go because like that sounds like kind of a fun thing to do. But like, shouldn't you be getting Ron McLean or Don Cherry or like some big announcer to do it? Like, just try. So we sent them like a demo tape of how we do it. And luckily for the song we're performing, Knocking at the Door, there's this middle section, which is actually kind of perfect to talk over if it was just an instrumental. So we sent it in. They're like, we love it. You're in. I was like, okay, sounds good. We get there. The show's at 5 p.m. We have sound check at 11 a.m. Like nothing's been rehearsed. They have some stand-ins there that are supposed to be like the players that are being brought out. And I just know from experience, it's very easy to kind of call somebody on stage, but it can get awkward if they're up there for too long, and also how to get them the hell off the stage. Like those are like important things. If anybody comes up to sing or at an Arkells show or to dance or play anything, I always tell them like, have your exit ready and don't linger because it's always just makes it awkward if people don't know how to get off stage. So it kind of came together perfectly, this middle section, and but I was still worried because the oldest player, Ted Lindsay's like 93, and I was like, is anybody going to be able to tell Mr. Lindsay like what to do here? Because he's 93 years old. We just want to make sure that he's being taken care of. So we run in sound check a few times. It's all feeling pretty good. 5 o'clock rolls around. We're all standing backstage. The band and these like 11, I think there was 11 of them, 11 legends that are just
11 of the 100 greatest players in NHL history.
And so I kind of go up and introduce myself, and they're all kind of older generation. They have no idea who the hell we are. They go to these events all the time. So like, there's no difference like between us and like the magician who does like tricks at halftime or something.
Oh, yeah, or 3 doors down.
Or 3 doors down. And so, you know, I say hi to Brendan Shanahan. We have a couple of mutual connections with the Leafs. Kyle Dubas, actually, former pod guest. I mentioned him, and so that kind of a nice little connection. But then I had this idea that I pitched with the producers of the show. I said, in the last chorus, instead of saying, that's me, I'm knocking at the door, I'm going to say, Gretzky, I'm knocking at the door, and have a moment with Gretzky. And the guys, and I was expecting, because a lot of these people in these organizations have no sense of humor or are really sort of done up. I was expecting him to say, no, don't do that. But he's like, I love it. He's like, what if you also did Crosby? I'm not going to Gainey. I'm not going to the door. He got really carried away. And I was like, I think just one will do. It's fine. So I go up to Wayne and he's there with his handler. He's the only person backstage who has a handler. I'm like, hey, Wayne, I'm playing this band Arkells. We're actually from Hamilton. And people must give them like their story, like, 20 times a day. Hey, Wayne, I'm from this town or whatever. So I was like, I'm introducing you. I had this idea, and it's totally okay if you don't want to do it. But I was thinking it might be fun. I kind of set it up too long. And the more I'm like thinking it could be cool, I had this idea. He just starts looking at his handler, going like, what the hell is this guy going to say to me? And he's like, step in right now before I even hear what the suggestion is, because the answer's got to be no. And then I was like, I'm going to change the lyrics from that's me to Gretzky and shake your hand. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. So I was like, yes, okay, I got the Gretzky seal of approval. It was still a risky move, though, because if in the moment, like, our handshake is weird, or, like, I catch him off guard, or there's just a weird look between the two of us, that could turn into a meme. Like, that's kind of thing that the internet tears apart immediately. It's like, you can't do anything on camera, like, on a nationally televised thing, without being ridiculed. Like, you always have to be, like, your most charming self. And so I was still a little bit worried about it, but we played the song in the middle section. Ted Lindsay knew what to do. All the guys like kind of waved. It was short and sweet. And then just as Gretzky's walking off the stage, I grab his kind of shoulder and I shake his hand. I say, Gretzky. And then when I did the knocking at the door kind of movement, I think he didn't know what to do with himself. So he just reached out to give me the dap. And then I was like, I'll give you a dap. So I ended up kind of looking like a cool guy. I'm like, all right, sure, Gretzky. And then he like, but he's good. He knows how to be on camera. So he was like smiling, and it was amazing.
Because it was awkward for maybe like
a half a second. Yeah.
But in the GIF, all you see is the gold
fist
part.
pump. It looks amazing.
That's what I'm saying. We're living in a GIF generation, GIF world. And I rule that world.
Did Crosby say anything to you?
No, but he did give me one of these as he walked by. But the cool thing is that McDavid won the MVP of the league.
Crazy because he's so young.
He's so young. And then we were kind of milling about backstage. There's all these like legends, like Babcock, the Leafs coach is there. He's a super nice guy. Me and Carey Price was back there. And McDavid has literally just won the award. He's walking backstage and he sees me. And the thing is, McDavid's roommate in his first year in Edmonton, this guy, Luke Gadzik, who's like kind of a bruiser type of player, like a really sweet guy. He's from Toronto. He's a huge music fan, huge Arkells fan. He apparently hasn't shut up about the Arkells to Connor. So Connor watched our performance and knew who we were, and Gaz was probably like give him a heads up that we're going to be there. So he saw me. He was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" He like gave me a hug, and like I know Connor has a reputation of being sort of a stiff guy, and you know he's 19 and he's like wasn't trained to be a media star, but he was very sweet and like it was just kind of cool that he knew about the band. So yeah, we literally did that and got the hell out of there and came back to Toronto and prepared for our big Bud Stage show.
Well, I feel like there's like a bit of a hockey player segue here because we all just came from your Budweiser show.
That's right.
Which was phenomenal. And it was cool because we had some podcast contest winners, Gabby and Nicole, who were amazing. Nicole flew in from Halifax. But my connection I'm making here with the hockey players, and we'll get to Gabby and Nicole in a bit, is that you had a bunch of hockey players at your show in the Budweiser Stage.
Yeah, it was pretty cool actually because Ryan O'Reilly for the Sabres, he's a big fan. Darnell Nurse, a good Hamilton kid who plays for the Oilers now. He's a fan, and Taylor Hall, who plays for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, they're always milling about at the after party, man.
They had an
everywhere I looked, there was like an NHL player.
But and I was just talking to our friend Dan, and he said that your wife Alex and Cara, Greg's girlfriend, and Lauren were just getting all spitting and giddy around these hockey players.
What?
Yeah. I heard they were just like...
They're puck bunnies?
And yeah, so Lauren was like on fire. She was like just in a great mood after the show. Everybody was kind of celebrating the night. And some of the guys are like buying shots for everybody. Darnell Nurse is just like, we're talking about Hamilton. Darnell Nurse's uncle is Donovan McNabb, NFL quarterback.
Oh, cool.
His sister's an Olympian.
Yeah, his sister Kia Nurse there. Darnell's older sister was there and getting along great with Lauren. And Lauren just comes up to me. She's like, "We need to party with these hockey players tonight." And I was like, "Sure, we'll do whatever you want." And she's like, "Yeah, we're going wherever they're going." And then Darnell Nurse comes up. She's like, "Hey, do you guys want to come party with us?" And Lauren's like, "Yes, we do." And then Darnell's like, "Well, we got 2 seats left in our car." So it's at this point it's about 2 a.m, but last call in Toronto is 4 a.m. on Saturday night.
Whoa.
And we get in this like
I like that Shane said, "Whoa," like he doesn't know that.
No, I didn't know it was. I'm always kicked out at 2 a.m. I always thought that was just because it was last call.
No, I think it was a special occasion. It was Pride.
Oh, okay.
So we get in this SUV and they drop us off at this nightclub called EFS, which is kind of like a fancy nightclub at King and Bathurst. I won't lie, I've been there once before in my clubbing days a few months ago.
Remember that phase?
Yeah, that was a good
bottle
phase.
service.
I kind of wish missed that phase.
Good old days.
So we go in there and it was awesome. We skipped a line because they have a driver there who's organized this thing. Like there's a big line. We go right through it. And my boy Connor's there because it was his girlfriend's birthday and they were celebrating. And he just couldn't be happier to see him. He was, "Connor, how's it going?" And then Lauren and I are dancing it up. We're getting like vodka poured down our throat. And it was the best. So, you know.
Was that the greatest night of your life?
It's got to be up there.
It was up there. It was very cool.
I've seen, I don't know, countless Arkells shows, and that was probably the greatest one I've ever seen at the Budweiser Stage.
Yeah. It was the show.
Did you feel that way?
Yeah. So much work went into the show and so much planning and all the kind of things, all the variables that we felt were out of our hands that you just can't control, i.e. the weather, also this light up glass experiment that we were sort of pitched on to do ended up being incredible. So it was like these glasses that had Arkells and July Talk on it that lit up in the encore.
They were handed out at the beginning of the show. So when you walked in, they handed out 16,000 things. And then in the encore, like no one knew, but you saw they had a thing on the bottom with a battery. And then they all lit up red for people who haven't seen it online. It was phenomenal.
It was a crazy moment. And the set was great. Yeah, anyway, it was just all that you could hope for. So it was awesome. Thank you to anybody who came to the show. And yeah. We've never done that before, so it's not like another day at the office. It's a very special occasion.
Yeah, and thank you so much to the contest winners, Gabby and Nicole, who won and entered. And I got to meet up with them a bit before you played, I think just before July Talk went on. And they were the nicest people. They were really great. I
also saw a Twitter picture of you with a pod fan, Shane, and it was like the man, the myth, the dessert. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah, that guy was really into me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "Shady Boy 69." And maybe he's been listening to the older episodes. I think he thinks I'm a wild man. And then, so I was like, hey. But every time I went to the aisle, he'd kind of look at me and be like, "Shady Boy." And I was like, okay. And then at the end, I was like, oh, I don't want to ruin the myth and the legend. So I kind of wasn't going to talk to him. But he's waiting for me. And he's waiting a long time. And then his girlfriend came up and was like, oh, he really wants a picture with you. So then I got a picture and he was like, "I love partying and drinking too, man." Or something like that. So I was like, yeah.
I was actually recognized by a girl. I was standing with Danica, and so she was like, "Oh, you're Mike Veerman from the Mike and Much podcast or whatever." I was like, "Oh yeah, hey, what's up? What's your name?" And then she's like, "Oh, and you must be Danica." And she recognized Danica just from like I guess listening to the pod,
mentioning Danica,
that it was my wife.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's a good crowd for podcast people that Shane and I both.
Yeah,
sort of,
like all the fans are like, we got a lot of fans because of you, right?
Yeah, they're listening to hear what
that
you
was
have
like
to
the
say.
epicenter for anyone who's ever listened to the pod. Was there.
It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. It was
so
perfect.
thank you.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah, I know. It was great.
That was the greatest night of my life.
Okay, well, today on the episode, fellas, we have Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is a pretty big get.
Very cool. I was prepping questions actually like on the flight to Las Vegas because I couldn't be there for the interview.
Yeah. So you couldn't be there. They were actually playing Cops Coliseum here in Hamilton, First Ontario Place, which you've also played.
Yep.
And so Shane and I were at work. It was a weekday. It was a Thursday. And I was like, Shane, you want to like come do this thing? We're going to go do this. And then there was comps. Like, so it was like they let us do the interview and then they just gave us free tickets to see the show. And the thing about the Chili Peppers, you know, obviously they're an extremely popular band, and they've been around a long time. But I don't know if people talk about them in the same way they talk about other contemporary huge bands, like, you know, like a Coldplay or U2 or any of those
Arcade
bands.
Fire, yeah.
Well, I mean, like even more like bands that have 20 hits.
Oh, sure.
Like if you go to a Chili Pepper song, you're gonna know 20 songs, like whether you know it or not. But anyway, the point is, I think it's always worth it to go see a band like the Chili Peppers.
And they're known for their live show. It's like that's sort of how they started their career, and that's how even before they had hits, they were kind of regarded as like an amazing live band. And then the hits came, and you know, the work was easy after that.
So Shane and I got on a train because we needed to make it there for the interview was exactly at 7:15, and we had to be there at 7. It was also the night of the NBA draft, which Chad alludes to, and he's like, "I know it's the NBA draft because Flea is in a room right now, waiting for it to start." You'll hear all this in the interview, but did you find anything interesting about this?
I always feel weird when I tag along. Just like someone's going to call me out, like, "What's that guy doing here?" But I'm like, you know, it's just two of us. It's not too many people. But you know, sometimes I ask the odd question, but really I'm not doing too much. I'm kind of just sitting there like in awe of this famous person. But in this case, the guy's like, all right, like the liaison. He's like, all right. He was a really nice guy, but he's like, okay, just if you're doing something, I'm like, yeah, kind of. He's like, okay, well, act like you're doing something because you need to be like fiddling with knobs because they want to make sure no one's there who's not needed. So I'm a little nervous at that point. And then when we walk in, it's like there's no place to sit for me. There's like one chair for you.
Well, it was like it was. So we go down to the bowels of Cops Coliseum in the arena, and they have like, and I don't know, like I didn't actually know that like maybe a lot of touring bands do this, but they have their own jam room set up with all of their
big
gear,
ones do,
like secondary gear. Where I'm guessing if they just feel like doing a rehearsal at 2 PM or just jamming out, they just have this full room.
We toured with Billy Talent, and they're massive, especially in Germany. And I think as a warm up, they just like get their blood flowing. So it's like they're at like 100 by the time, but it might take half an hour to get there.
Yeah. So we go into this little room. There is no chair for Shane. They're like, Chad's gonna sit at the drums, and there's a dude like with
he
a
did his
cast.
interview at the drums.
Yeah. And then there's a dude with a cast on his leg just playing the piano. Like it was like we walked into a very like kind of like weird scene, and like we're like, do we say hi to the piano player? He's just warming up.
Yeah, so we're like, hey, we're trying to be friendly. He's like, oh, hi. Like
Who's the piano guy?
Yeah, he's not that nice to us. And he's just like playing piano. He's like blowing on horns, and he's like, he's got the sock on his dick. So I'm like, oh, is he I'm like, he must be in the band or part of it.
He had a cast and a sock on his dick, and that was it. And he was running warm ups, doing vocal
Very
exercises.
rude to us. No, but it was just a little awkward. And then, but yeah, once the interview started, like with all that tension, Chad couldn't have been nicer.
He was awesome. Yeah. He was great. Want to get to Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Might as well.
You're gonna have to talk.
Yeah, hey, sorry. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Pete Rose and the Gamblers. That's a nice.
It's our softball team. His brother designed.
Good name. Good name for a team.
Are you a baseball fan?
I am. I enjoy the baseball.
Yeah.
I'm a Tigers, long time suffering Tigers fan.
Detroit.
Not that suffering, but.
Are you sports in general or just baseball?
I like all sports, and I know that the NBA draft is happening right now. And Flea is like, I'm not doing any interviews. It's 7 o'clock. Like,
Does he think they're going to take Ball? Does he want them to take Lonzo?
They will. They just traded D'Angelo, so they're definitely going to take.
We were just talking about that. Are you a Pistons fan?
I am.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into this. Enough sports.
Sure.
I just kind of wanted to go back to the start of it. And you're not a California guy originally. You just said you're a Tigers fan. You grew up down the road in Michigan from here, essentially.
Yeah.
What did your folks do?
My dad worked for Ford Motor Company for 32 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I saw him get up in the morning every early and go to work, and I was like, that's not what I want to do.
Was he more of a blue collar job or like sort of?
No, he was a white collar. I mean, he started out on the line for sure, but
yeah,
he was in quality control.
Okay,
job number 1. And he was at the world headquarters in Dearborn, Michigan. He worked there probably 25 years. So I grew up in Detroit. outside Detroit from 1974 till I moved to LA in 1988.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you made the move to LA, was it specifically to get work, to work as a sort of professional musician?
Yeah. Yep. And I'd been playing professionally since I was 18, right out of high school, and I played in a lot of clubs and with bands and all around Detroit for 8 years.
Yeah.
And it felt like it had kind of, I'd exhausted the possibilities of musical situations, and I knew kind of everybody, and I was like, if I'm going to make a move, I might as well do it pretty soon. The guys in my band were a little bit older, and if you recall, at that time in California, in 1988, the Sunset Strip was really popular, and Guns N' Roses and those kind of bands were...
It was like all happening.
Yeah, it was all happening. I wasn't a real heavy metal guy or anything, but, rock music and that sort of thing was happening, and I was like, I could go to New York, which is really cold, and I don't know anybody, or I could go to California, where it's warm, and I have a friend who let me sleep on his couch, and that's what I did.
Deciding to sort of go into music as a career is somewhat unconventional, and the success rate is pretty low.
Well, it depends on what you
consider success.
To me, I've been successful ever since I started playing professionally. It's really what I always wanted to do. Growing up, and I played sports and stuff, but I started drumming when I was 7, so I was a little dude, and so I started playing professionally right out of high school at 18, and I was playing 6 nights a week, doing 3 sets a night with this band called Tilt, and I thought this was the greatest thing ever. I was just like, this is it, man. I'm a working musician. I was making $165 a week and playing these little scummy clubs in Detroit, but I loved it. And it was, in hindsight, it was really important to have that sort of work ethic and play so much and have that opportunity because, fast forward 8 years and moving out to California, and the opportunity came, and I was prepared, and I'd done a lot of hard work, and I think sometimes those things are not as prevalent in our culture today. In society, is kids want everything really fast, and they don't want to really put the hard work into it.
That 8 years is unfathomable to them because they just want to get to the end result.
Yeah, it's there's no shortcuts. I mean, you can get lucky. And I consider myself lucky, not only to be a professional musician, but certainly when I joined Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's unbelievable. I mean, I would have never in a million years. I didn't even really know. I knew who the band was.
Yeah.
Oh, the guys with the socks on their dicks. Yeah, I've heard of them. Do they have a record deal? I'll try out for them. Yeah. It wasn't like, the big rock band. The Chili Peppers were kind of a club band and a little more, college radio and that, so playing clubs and stuff at that time. But you just never know. But it's important to persevere, and if you love it, you're going to want to do it anyway. But often people can get they can kind of give up easily, and I just love it, man. I'm so lucky, and we all are a band, and we're so grateful that 30 whatever years, and we're still playing arenas, and people come to see us. We're making music, and it's fantastic.
Was when you mentioned trying out and joining the band sort of in progress, was the vibe right away, or was it something that had to grow, that chemistry, or did you feel it with them sort of immediately?
Musically, we hit it off right away.
Yeah,
it was really exciting. But they were like, who's this, big guy from the Midwest and long hair and bandanas, and they were like, oh, I don't know about this guy, And they were very, at the time, it was, what kind of funny haircut you had and your tattoos and all that stuff. I was not that guy. So, no, personally, it took a while to, it was normal,
Sure.
to get that chemistry. But musically, right off the bat, we were like, this is something pretty cool.
Yeah, you're feeling it right away.
Yeah, it was great.
I've read Anthony describe the scene in LA. You mentioned the 80s as you were sort of joining the band, and then, the partying, excess, all seemed really intense the way that I've read it described. When you look back on those years, how did you fit into all of that? What did you enjoy, and what were you glad to grow out of?
Oh, I don't have any regrets about being a young man and rock and roll. And when I was a kid, I cut out pictures of Led Zeppelin and put them on my wall in my bedroom, and I wanted drug, sex, and rock and roll. Yeah. I was all about it.
Jimmy Page swigging the Jack Daniels.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it was dangerous and exciting, and girls, and everything about it was like, wow. You got to remember, this is going before electricity, and you didn't see people on television, and you never saw Led Zeppelin on TV or bands like that, and so it was mysterious and really cool, and I bought into it, man. I was all about it. So yeah, our early years in the Chili Pepper, we did lots of things. we played lots of music, and then we played hard and we partied hard.
Yeah.
But we were young, and that's just all kind of for us. It's it all went together, and it was really fun. I mean, my experience, I never really got too deep into it and into the drug part of it. But I did my share, and then you just kind of keep going, and things don't work for you anymore, that they used to. And some people realize it earlier, and some people it takes them a while, and some people they never. So, I quit all that stuff like 9 years ago or something like that. And I just want to. I have kids and wife, and your priorities shift in life. It's normal. You grow, you get older, and hopefully learn. So now we're on the road. It's really just doing whatever we can to perform as best we can.
Yeah.
And if I was out getting hammered every night, you don't bounce back like a 25-year-old. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
So, and I want to play as well as I can for myself and my band, and also for the people that come here to see us. We take a lot of pride in our performing, and so we don't take any of that for granted. And so now it's Chili Pepper, the boring years now,
the responsible years.
Yeah, but we're still having fun.
Speaking of the band, over the years, there's been a rotating cast of lead guitarists in the band. And I mean, this is actually pretty unusual, I think, for...
Are you going to say anything?
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. You got a mic. I just wondered. Okay.
Yeah, he waits on his question.
Yeah.
He's
you asked the tough ones.
Kind of.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm ready for that.
Good cop, bad cop. And I guess, between yourself and Flea and Anthony, it's interesting when you rotate out a guitar player, because in a four-piece, it's so dependent. The music is, I feel like the guitar playing is so stylistic and has to mesh with yourself and Flea.
Of course.
Has the arrival and departures of the guitarists in your band become any easier over time? Like, are you guys kind of like, okay, we've done this before?
No, it's never easy. It's chemistry in a band is so important in anything, sports or whatever. Any where you have a group of people, the chemistry of how those people do what they do. In our case, make music, and then there's so many other things that go along with the musical part. But you don't, again, I sound redundant, but we don't take that for granted. Like, we had John Frusciante in our group when I joined the band, and he had just joined, and then he left, and then we had more guitar players, and then he came back to our group in like 97 or something like that, and we had 10 years, and it was, we were like, wow, this is really something special. For whatever reason, these four guys in a room, when we make music, we do something special, and so it's difficult to find the right people. It really is. I mean, or there'd be tons of bands all over the place that never broke up, and most rock bands last like 5 years.
Yeah,
and to continue to make music and be relevant and changing and growing and challenging each other and doing all those kind of things. You have to find the right people, and me, Anthony, and Flea are we've been together almost 30 years, and the guitar is such an important instrument, and certainly in our band, a rock band, the main melodic instrument, and and the songwriting, the way we write songs all together. It's not like one guy or two guys that write the songs. We all write them together. So, you know, we had Dave Navarro in our band from Jane's Addiction in '94 or 4 or 5 years, and he was a great musician, amazing. But the chemistry never really, you know, I love him. He was a great guy, but
fascinating. So
yeah,
musically, it didn't click in the way that you guys.
And when on paper you would be like, oh, L.A. guy, Jane's Addiction. We love Jane's Addiction. Great guitar player. And when we went to write songs, it was kind of like, okay, this is different. He's not a real jamming type guy. That's kind of how we write, and he's more reactive. And it took time. I mean, I if he was sitting here, hopefully that he would agree with me. But it's you know, I think that there's really, it's hard to find those pieces that all for whatever work together, you know, like I can only say like the Rolling Stones are a perfect example. They've had different guys in their band as well, but the core guys, once you start moving around too many pieces, things get diluted or they change, and maybe not necessarily for the worse, but for us, it's we've been fortunate to have really great musicians and guitar players in our band, and Josh is amazing. You know, I mean, to have him come into our group, it's been, I don't know how long now, 7 years or something. So he's still like the new guy, but but you know, he's an amazing musician and dedicated. And
when you're bringing in someone like Josh,
yeah,
you know, could one of you three, like, is that conversation very democratic? Like, if you wanted to veto and go, I'm not feeling it, and the other two, Flea and Anthony, are like, we're keeping them, is that something where all three you have to?
Yeah, no, everybody, you have to. It has to be a, you just know if it's working or if it's not working.
Sure.
Yeah, you just know.
How intense was the search, or was he somebody that you guys had your eye on?
We'd known him for a while. Actually, he'd done a lot of records with John actually together, and he actually toured with us. At the end of our Stadium Arcadium tour, he came on, played guitar and some keyboards. So we knew him, and so that was a kind of an easier. Initially, like, oh, what about Josh? Because we know him, we know what he does, we know how he's kind of like dating. You kind of got over the dating part, and let's see how it works. Because if you just bring in somebody that you don't know at all, personality, everything. There's so many different things that come into play. But no, he was like the only guy we thought about, and luckily it worked out.
Yeah. Well, just to wrap it up, because we're getting the signal. I always find it interesting when you talk to bands that have sort of a rich legacy and so much success. I guess how you view your past work. So it's like, the band's been very consistent in the quality of output from record to record. When you look back on, your biggest records, did you have any sense at the time that like Blood Sugar Sex Magic or Californication were going to be as big and important as they would become? And I guess secondly, do you view it differently because of its place in history? So in the moment, are you like, this is really good, and then once it becomes what it becomes, and you look back, you go, oh yeah, I knew. Or you,
I never go like, oh yeah, I knew that was going to be a big smash. No, you never know. I mean, to go back to those two records that you cited, Blood Sugar, it was 1991, and that's for me. That's my fondest memories of making a record, and the band was really firing on all cylinders. John and I had been in the band since Mother's Milk. We wrote all those songs together, a Blood Sugar song. Rick Rubin came on and produced us for the first time. We recorded in this house. There was all these, perfect storm things that were happening that, Anthony was singing more. We were just growing, and we took a big leap, and yeah, when we were making it was really fun and easy.
Yeah.
And so often my experience of making records, when that happens, that's usually a good thing, instead of like, it's really a struggle or it's taking a long time or those kind of things. But we had lots of songs, and and the other thing too, to your second part of the question, music was changing, we were just doing what we were doing anyway, but then, the Nirvanas and those bands came along, and music really shifted. It got away from the whatever was happening before that, and I think it was like the hair metal.
The hair metal, yeah, exactly.
The hair metal thing. So, but we were, we'd been doing what we were doing, and we were kind of, an alternative band or whatever, but it was like a really exciting time for all those reasons. And Californication, again, John had rejoined our band, and it was, just like putting like an old shoe back on. It just felt really good. And again, we had a bunch of songs, recorded it really fast, and it was, that was, both those records have lots of good songs on them. I mean, they come to, if you don't have any good fucking songs, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
That's what it comes down to.
At the end of the day, I mean, for anybody. So you're always, as a songwriter and as a band, you're trying to always write better songs, play better. And that's what we continue to do. And if people like them, they do. And if they don't, they don't. But we really try to make the best records that we can all the time. So, we play almost every song off the Getaway. We're not going to play them all at once, but it's fun. And for us, it's important for us to stay relevant, play new music, be inspired by that. We love playing those songs. I love them. And they stand up against the other, older ones that we played as well. So, yeah, I had the best job in the world.
Yeah,
it's
man.
awesome.
You got one last thing before we go?
Yeah.
It's your big moment.
It's your big moment. Make it good. You've been sitting there the whole night. What is it? Don't choke.
Well, I was
He's
just
wearing
wondering.
a Pete Rose and the gambler's hat.
Yes. Oh, geez. Pressure is on. I was just going to ask if we could have a picture, but.
There you go.
I thought you were going to come in with so let me ask you,
No, I was-
People, do you really think you look like...
Will Ferrell? I was going to ask. It was just our last interview. We interviewed Edgar Wright, who actually Flea was in the film
The director of Baby Driver.
Oh, Baby Driver, yeah.
And then I was asking him some questions, and it didn't seem like he liked him too much, so I got a little scared off asking again. But, yeah.
He didn't like the Baby Driver question?
No, I asked him a few, and I felt like he didn't really like me in the room, so now I got kind of scared.
Just gotta get back on that horse, man.
That's
I know.
why you're being so quiet.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gun shy now.
I'm
Yeah.
much nicer than Flea.
I know.
Do you think Flea's a good actor?
Do I think he's a good actor? I've seen him, he does some better than others. Like The Big Lebowski?
Yes.
Very good.
I love that movie, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Classic.
He was great in that.
The Nihilist.
Yeah.
He's great. And then, there's some other things maybe that weren't right in his wheelhouse that,
Like what?
But he loves it. Like what?
You're not gonna
what-
make him name
You want me to
it.
talk shit
Perfect
about
question.
Flea's acting?
Yes. I'm here to ask the hard questions.
What was his not great roles? What was
Break?
Flea and Anthony were in some movie.
Point
Point
Break.
Break.
No,
On the
it was a
beach.
Point Break. That was just Anthony.
Oh, My Own Private Idaho?
No.
Were they in that?
Yeah, Flea was in that.
Yep.
But they
I
were
swear
both in.
Flea's in Point Break.
No, just Anthony. Anthony's the gang member surfer guy.
Okay.
Flea's not in. Didn't do your homework.
Right.
Nice try.
That's it. No
I
more
told
questions.
you.
That's
I'm
it.
not good at
Shut
this.
up.
All right. Thank you so much for your
It's
time,
all
man. We
good,
really
man. Thank you,
appreciate it.
guys.
Welcome to The Desserts. We are here with our friend and pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. Shane, what's good?
Well, I am the pop culture aficionado, so I'm going to talk about something pop culture related. Just to start with, guy taking over pop culture right now, though, Arkells. I know we talked about it in the top, but something really interesting happened at the show that I thought maybe I'd save
Okay.
for the dessert.
all right.
Well, one, stupidly, I wasn't going to come to this show for some reason.
Yeah, why not?
Like, I don't know. Like, for me, I forgot that this was actually like a massive, massive show. Like, in my mind, you guys are playing like arenas every weekend, like selling places out.
Definitely not, but yeah.
But I'm like, oh, you're huge. So I didn't know how big of a show this was, stupidly, admittedly.
Yeah.
So last minute, because Mike is like, yo, this isn't just like a show. This is like a meet and greet for fans and all this for pod fans. I'm like, oh, pod fans. Okay, anything for them. And then, so I had to ask for tickets
Oh, yeah.
for you for the last second. And then when I went to the door, the tickets weren't there. My name was there. But there was no...
So your name was there, but the tickets were gone.
Yeah, the tickets were gone.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I'm like, uh-oh. So I'm thinking these meet and greet people are freaking out, like Shane from the pod. Like, it's only 3 guys in the pod. I think they're freaking out. And I even brought like delivery DVDs for them. Like I was in a movie called Delivery.
Yeah, of
like
course.
So I signed them and like thought they'd want them. Anyways, they lose my tickets. So you I guess had lawns for me.
Okay.
They ended up getting scared because Ashley's like, "Oh, give him tickets," and I got good tickets, like really good tickets up close.
Oh, good.
And in fact, I was sitting right in front of your dad. And then I'm like, holy shit, that's Max's dad. This is going to be cool to like watch it through like the proud dad's eyes. And then there's this woman wearing like these huge like noise canceling headphones, like massive.
Like, yeah, like the big yellow ones that like construction workers wear.
Yeah. And I'm joking with people beside me. I'm like, big fan right there. And then someone's like, that's Max's mom.
Which is true. She wears the like, and also we could be going to an event. I don't know why she's like so sensitive. It's not like she has like a history of like hearing loss in the family, but it's like it was a loud concert, but it would like come on.
Yeah. Come on. It was a weird look. Like, especially like her son, you think she'd want to hear it all. But yeah, obviously.
Actually, yeah, in the big group shot, if you can zoom in, you can see a woman with big yellow ear cans.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that I got those good seats, and thank you for that.
Oh, good.
And
by the way, did you accuse J.R. Diggs of stealing your tickets?
well, geez, that's funny. A guy drove me down, and guy J.R. Diggs drove me down, and he's like, I'm like, how are you going to get tickets? He's like, don't worry, I'll just like, I'll figure out a way. I'll get them off scalpers or something. And then I heard a story because we got separated for a bit. I texted him. I said, JR, did you get tickets? He goes, yeah, some guy just gave me 2 pairs. So maybe he stole my tickets somehow because he's a very crafty guy.
He knows that you had tickets waiting under will call. Maybe he said
under your name, Shane.
Under Shane.
Maybe he could have talked his way into it.
Wow,
that's a pretty heavy accusation, though. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable accusing JR.
I will say this though, JR is a crafty guy because I went to Buffalo.
Do we need to warble your voice for this?
Me and JR.
So JR, that would be funny if we did. JR and I went to Buffalo to watch some March Madness a couple years ago, and he was like, "Oh, we'll get tickets off scalpers." I went on Thursday. It was $25. It was the best time ever come. It was Saturday. It was 2 days later. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go down. Just the 2 of us. We're driving down, check StubHub just to get a lay of the land to know what scalpers ought to be charging. Cheapest ticket's $250.
My
what
God.
the hell's going on? Turns out the home team, Syracuse, just down the road, is playing. They're basketball crazy. So we get there. It's deserted. We're a little bit late, and we see a scalper. There's only a couple scalpers around. I'm like, hey, do you got any tickets? What you got? He's like, yeah, I got a couple. How much? $400. So I was like, how the hell are we going to get it? We're not going to pay $400. So we end up wandering around the arena for a while. We don't know what we're going to do. But then JR sees these like 6 businessmen in suits walking through this side private entrance, like kind of into the arena. He's like, let's follow those guys. We follow them right through the door, and we're in the arena. We got in for free.
I've done that with JR so many times. It's ridiculous. I snuck into Conan O'Brien when he did A Week in Canada, and the guest was Jim Carrey.
Really?
He's just like, that door's open. Let's just walk in. For note, we're in like a press lounge. Jim Carrey's right there working on the bit with Conan, like an impromptu bit. I've snuck into like evenings with Kevin Smith where he does these big director talks where it's $200 a ticket. Snuck into every film festival with him. It's crazy.
Moral of the story is just hang out with JR and you'll get places.
Yeah.
Walking through the front door. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were just talking about Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah.
But that was a little dicey territory, hard to navigate the scandal going on there.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a way to do it. So maybe we talk about Bachelor instead.
Yeah, let's talk about the Bachelorette.
Yeah. And Mike's actually been watching a bit of this season.
Really?
Absolutely not.
You knew who Waboom was. You were
what's he say?
Waboom.
Waboom. Yeah. I watched his viral clips online.
Yeah. And you were furious at Waboom, actually.
I thought, because I feel like if we keep letting people like Waboom win, if we keep giving them platforms, they're just going to, I don't know, like nothing about him I found entertaining. I just thought he was like...
He's the worst.
Jim Carrey ripoff.
Yeah, and just like desperate for attention. But again, maybe that's very judgy and maybe everyone who goes on these shows
You're
want
100%
that.
right.
Anyway, Waboom, I was not feeling, but that was like a long time ago.
So Shane, you have...
Is Waboom still on?
No,
he got kicked off. That was obvious.
Thank God.
I'm just kidding.
That was stunt casting, and they do that every year a couple times.
And Lee, too. Do you think he's stunt casting because he's like the racist Nashville guy? Who?
They're putting him in scenarios to play the foil.
Yeah.
They always need the heel character. But I think this season is the most boring out of every Bachelorette season of all time.
Yeah, why is that? Because I haven't been watching. I've only watched 2 or 3 seasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't? You've been watching this season, though.
Yeah, I've watched this.
Like, it's like the hot white guy is going to win. The guy with like the very blue eyes. Not the like
young,
Mark Myers 25-year-old.
Not Dean.
Dude. Not Dean.
He's too young.
Yes.
Okay, but here's the thing. So who are we talking about? Is his name Lauren? Peter.
Peter, yes.
So you're talking about Peter, who is the Wisconsin dude. And by the way, have you done any research on Peter?
On his modeling photos?
Yeah, here's the thing.
I might have perused them.
Okay, so Peter is like so handsome, and he's got like this low voice, and he kind of stays out of the drama. He's above the fray. And on his description, it's small business owner.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, he's just like a small business owner from Wisconsin. And he just happens to be the best.
They all say entrepreneur or whatever.
looking guy.
They're all actresses and models.
Yeah, it turns out he's a personal trainer. And he's also a model. So there's all these photos online of him like walking down the runway with like a 12-pack. Like Lauren and I yesterday were looking at these photos, and she's like, what is that muscle? Like just like at the top of I was like, stop looking at his body. But also, did you see his high school grad photo?
No, was he a
You really did a deep dive on this guy.
Not so good.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. He really did a 180 after leaving high school. But his yearbook quote was, he wanted to be on The Bachelor.
Are you joking?
No.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah.
And he has the gap in between his teeth also.
I know.
So that's a connection.
Oh, with him and Rachel.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't think Dean's got a chance?
No. Dean reminds me a lot of my co-director on the Knocking at the Door video.
I guess he
MFBA,
does.
Mark
Yeah,
Myers.
he's kind of
Mark
like
Myers?
brunette version.
Yeah, it's like too wholesome.
The only time that I perked up with this whole Bachelorette business was I'd randomly it came into my Twitter feed because I guess the Bachelorette Rachel used to date Kevin Durant in college.
Yeah, in Texas. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So that's all I have to
Yeah.
offer.
But do you think Peter's too boring, though? I think there's the chiropractor guy who's a little older.
You think Rachel's exciting?
I think Rachel's awesome.
Really?
She's America's sweetheart.
I don't know. I don't like her. I find her like a little too phony.
Really? Well, I think she's like really camera ready.
Yeah,
Sure.
I guess that's part of the show. But yeah, I'm not a fan of hers.
So you're predicting Peter right now.
100% Peter's going to win.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If you were on The Bachelor, would you be like what kind of contestant would you think you'd be?
See, I think I would do very well on The Bachelor.
You
How
are
many-
crazy competitive. I've seen you when you're single, and I don't want to get in your way.
yeah.
Would you go in with a catchphrase like "Waboom"?
No, I would just be like, they don't really like someone to be too self-aware. And if they are, they're kind of on the boring side because they don't want anyone to make jokes about the show or
Yeah.
they want
Yeah,
someone
there's no one who has like irony on the show.
You need to be a villain, which never wins. Yeah. You need to be the stunt casting dude who always gets kicked off, or the kind of boring, like deadly handsome dude.
Yeah.
But I think I'd be like, that rare type that they never cast, where I'm kind of like
The quirky,
yeah,
handsome guy.
Yeah, well, not handsome, but I think I could be the quirky guy. But I think I could get in there and get any girl's heart on the show.
Do you think you'd start squabbles with the guys? Do you think you'd be antagonistic?
You can't squabble me, man. I don't really squabble.
Well, I think some champagne boys in a single.
You think I squabble?
Well, I think you'd offend people.
Who? You're saying I squabble?
Not squabble, but
I don't squabble. We just end on the squabble?
That's pretty.
What
good.
are you starting to squabble?
No, man.
That's it. That's all. That's our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, all that business. Leave a comment on iTunes, please. You can follow us at Mike on Much on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks so much to everyone that helps us make this happen. Thanks to Chad Smith for being on the show. All the doodles for the Mike on Much podcast are done by Jenna Gregory at jennasdoodles.com. The Mike on Much podcast is produced by Max Kerman, and I'm your host, Mike Veerman. See you next week if we don't die on the weekend.